Hey, what's up, everybody? BDO44 coming at you in another video. All right, so trade deadline is turning out to be rather interesting. I've been very thrilled with everything I've seen pretty much from this deadline so far, and we still have more than 24 hours before the actual deadline. This is the most active pre-deadline I've ever seen, for certain. The most active pre-deadline of all time, in my opinion. Only because I think it's just one of those situations where teams have learned not to wait until the last minute. Uh, Sometimes things can't get done. Sometimes you're scrambling last minute trying to get things done. It's just unnecessary. If everybody treats the day before the deadline like they treat the last few hours of the deadline, they can get more done. And you learn some lessons. Certain things happened where you thought you had a deal and you weren't able to get it because of certain situations. So I think teams are just trying to move a little quicker and trying to have a little more urgency sooner, and I think that's what we're seeing. I wouldn't be surprised if hardly anything happens tomorrow at the deadline because all the work is being done now. But there are a lot of things that could shake out because of these moves, and that could change the calculus for a lot of teams as well. So you may still have a lot of stuff done last minute because of that. But there's some things to talk about, man. A few things. I think a big move that was made was Philadelphia trading for guard Jared McCain. They sent the Thunder a first rounder in 3 seconds. They sent the Philadelphia 76ers the Rockets 2026 first round pick, which is upcoming right now, and the Thunder. So the Rockets pick is not that great, to be honest with you, because obviously the Rockets are a very good team. Halfway through the season, they're gonna be a contender. So that pick this upcoming year is probably going to be in the 20s, late 20s at that. And then they got 3 second rounders for Jared McCain. I think if you're the Philadelphia 76ers, there's a world where you probably don't move on from McCain at all. But with him having a knee injury and not quite having the role going forward, you didn't anticipate being able to draft VJ Edgecombe. And, of course, Maxi's in place. So your backcourt is pretty much him having a six-man role. That's not his career arc. He's probably better than that. And you probably don't want to really go forward with him because as he came back from his knee injury, he wasn't quite the same player. But he's really, really young, so he's probably going to be that guy, but probably not that soon. You could use the flexibility. You could definitely use a first rounder to try to entice somebody to take maybe Paul George's contract. Maybe draft equity just helps overall with the flexibility for a team that really needs it. So turning Jared Allen into 1 first in 3 seconds is probably a home run for Philly, but I think there's a world where they wish to God they didn't do that 3 years from now. Most importantly, send him to the Thunder is just miserable for the rest of us because he's a really, really, really talented player who showed that he was probably the rookie of the year before getting injured last year. So he goes to the champion Thunder, and the rich continue to get rich. So I love this for the Thunder because you have picks that you need to trade because you can't draft all of them at this point. And so what you can do is go, just shopping in ways that no other team can because you have picks to give. You got a championship level team. You have to move your picks so you can value first rounders differently than others. Plus, you got a lot of first rounders that are not your own. Teams like the, Clippers and the Rockets have mortgaged their future to you. So you can just shop other people's picks and still have your own stuff in place. They can shop in a way that no one else can. We can just look at a young player that we like and say, yo, I got a couple picks to give you. Give me that young player. And they can do that. No one else probably in the entire league can do that with the type of leverage that they have. First round picks mean so much less to them than anyone else. And so as a result, not only can they move them, but they're kind of forced to. And so this is a deal where they were able to pick, identify a young player they wanted, see a situation where a team could use the flexibility with the picks they have, and give them a couple seconds in a first. That ain't really that great of a first. I don't think that pick is going to draft Philadelphia a better player than Jared McCain. I do not. But if you're banking on Jared McCain never being that player again, given what they've seen over the last couple of months from him, he might not be, then it's a good idea to move on from him when you don't have the role to develop him into being what he was supposed to be. If you can get this type of deal, you do it. So I love this for both teams. I think it's a good move for the Thunder. It gives them insurance for some of their other guards and stuff like that. And not only that, but it gives them a super high-level player in the future to where if they happen to lose a star or something, if they can't keep Shai Gilgeous-Alexander for whatever god-awful reason, You still got A.J. Mitchell. You still have Jared McCain. Those guys could very well turn out to be Hall of Famers themselves. You know what I mean? Like literally, with Jared McCain, as good as he was when he first got started. And since he's so young, banking on him not turning back into the player he once was may not be the greatest bet. He's only, 21? I mean, he can recover from that knee injury. A couple good years of good conditioning. He could be a fantastic player. So I'm a believer in Jared McCain. I think it's a great time to invest in him. And he's going to be having a great time winning rings with the Thunder for the next 10 years. It's going to be a beautiful path for a young player that has a lot of talent. Now, will he ever be that star in Thunderland if they don't move on from people? Probably not. He's probably going to have the same role he had with the Sixers. But the Thunder have targeted him. They want him. They believe in him. And so I'd imagine, it's going to be a situation where he's somewhere he's believed in. And, I think in the long run, Philadelphia will definitely wish they didn't do this. But in the short term, it makes all the sense for their circumstances needing flexibility. So you understand it. I think they understand all of that. And it's probably the right move for them. And the other thing that happened was Coby White. Coby White is headed to the Charlotte Hornets for Colin Sexton, Ousmane Deng, and 3 second-round picks. Now, to be honest with you, Ousmane Deng I thought was still with the Thunder. It was this morning with this trade that I found out Ousmane Deng wasn't even in Oklahoma. I thought he was still there. So was he with the Hornets? I guess he was. Now he's with the Bulls. The Bulls were in point guard hell, man. And so they needed to move some point guards. Coby White and Mike Conley are now going to be Charlotte Hornets. I figured Mike Conley could be retraded or bought out. None of that surprises me. I'm pretty certain that the Charlotte Hornets are going to buy him out too. Coby White is an excellent player who's had some injury issues in and out of the lineup for the Chicago Bulls. And given the fact that they just acquired other players, it's not overly surprising to see them move on from somebody. I did think that they would probably hold on to White and maybe move someone else, some other guys. But they just brought in Ivy. They just brought in Simons. They really, Jones had been playing great for them. They really needed to move on from some guards. And they've had Coby White in place. I don't know that they want to pay him what he's expected to be paid. He is an expiring contract, so getting something for him made sense. If you wanted to do something, that made sense to me. So I like it because it frees up some things for them. They obviously had too many guards. Anthony Simon, $27 million expiring. Coby White, $12 million expiring. Mike Conley, $10 million expiring. Jaden Ivey, $10 million expiring. Trey Jones on for 3 years and $8 million there for him. You got Ayo Dosunmu, who's expiring. You got Yuki Kiyoamura, who's been balling in the G League to the point where you probably want to call him up at some point. Giddy for 4 years, $25 million apiece. It's just too many guards there, and they needed to consolidate. You weren't going to be able to showcase those guys, and the mistake that a lot of teams make when they do this is not understanding that players lose value when they're in those log jams. They're not being played, and when it's time to retrade them, you can't get the same amount for them that you paid for. Or if you try to re-sign them, it could become a situation where they don't want to re-sign because they're not going to be showcased. So it just becomes a situation where it's in your best interest to assure that whatever's on your team can either maintain value or increase value if at all possible. And you can't do that with these high-level guards that are all playing in the same situation. So I think it makes sense. Coby White, a good expiring contract for the Charlotte Hornets. They probably they'll re-sign him, I think. I'm pretty sure Charlotte is kind of doing something similar in a sense that now they have some LaMelo Ball insurance. If they want to move on from LaMelo, they got a point guard in place. They don't have to trade him for a guard. They upgrade from Anthony Simons. Anthony Simons is a nice player. Obviously, Coby White's a better one. So I like this for them. But the future for the Charlotte Hornets is Brandon Miller, Con Knipple, in my opinion. LaMelo, and now maybe Coby White if they move Melo. Or maybe Melo if they move White. But I don't think you can have all of those players in the same rotation for too long. You might be able to get away with it for the rest of the season, but after that, that's not how you want to invest your money. So I think LaMelo could potentially be on the move. If not now, probably in the offseason. $37 million 4 years. I like LaMelo as much as the next guy, but I don't love that for their situation anymore. I just don't. And now that you're bringing in Coby White, I don't have to have him there. Would I rather have LaMelo than Coby White in a nutshell? Yeah, but it ain't that vast of a difference. I think they're both studs. I'm a big Kobe White guy anyway, so I like him in most situations. Um, I just think he's a stud, man. I think he's really good. But the injuries have been a thing. Either way, I think it's unlikely to expect that he's going to re-sign with the Hornets if you're the Hornets. I will say that. If you go ahead and trade LaMelo, don't do it without a guarantee that you're keeping Kobe White if he means as much to you as maybe he does to me in a situation like that. Um, yeah, $12 million expiring. He definitely wants his money, but I don't know that he's entirely thrilled with finding himself in Charlotte in theory. Though if he's been paying attention to Charlotte, they're actually the hottest team in basketball. They won like 7 straight before whatever just happened. Their Rockets game. They probably lost that game, but the point was they were on a 7-game winning streak. This is a team that's pivoting in the right direction, and Kobe White gives them yet another lethal scoring shooter that you can slap next to Knipple and Brandon Miller with a seriousness attached to him that I don't think you get from LaMelo, even though the talent of LaMelo I think is a little more than Kobe. I don't think either one of them are much defensively, but like Kobe is just a bit more serious, and I think that matters. So, yeah, man. And as far as contracts are concerned with Sexton, let's see, he's on a 1-year, $18 million expiring. So, that's another expiring contract for the Bulls to hold on to. They move on from the situation of potentially losing Kobe White for nothing. They get themselves some second rounders, I believe is what was said there. Is that what happened with that trade? 3 second-round picks for another expiring guard. So this is kind of what I was saying they need to do anyway. And I was suggesting that my Lakers give them a second-round pick to take our, Gabe Vincent. Although I no longer think they'll do that. But, to take Gabe Vincent, we could upgrade by taking one of their guards. That's essentially what Charlotte did. Charlotte upgraded their guard by sending them a not as good a guard and some picks for one of their better expiring guards that they probably want to re-sign. So this is a good deal for the Charlotte Hornets. I love the move. Ousmane Dieng also headed to Chicago. It gives them another wing. I think in the long run, Ousmane Dieng could be a nice role player for him. He was drafted as a high lottery pick several years ago. Was in OKC. OKC never had the role, never even let him play like that. So, you slap him next to Noah Singeh, who's out for the season right now, will be starting his career next season with the Bulls. And you like the tandem of wings that they have. You know what I mean? I think that's a good decision to just take a flyer on a guy like that who had high upside initially, who still isn't old and still hasn't really developed. It gives him an opportunity to pivot toward a wingy defensive dynamic potentially with those two role players. So I think that could be a sneaky decent situation, just like A.J. Johnson finding himself in Dallas. I think Ousmane Dieng finding himself in Chicago could potentially be a good thing. You like what you see Chicago's done with Jalen Smith. He's a part of their future as well now. He looks really good. So I like that. I like that. They're trying to find talent wherever they can. Obviously, Buzelis is still in place. That's a nice wing tandem. They should be able to play both sides of the floor, be tall. They're putting together something. And I think there'll be big players in free agency, obviously, with all these expiring contracts. It's probably re-sign Jaden Ivey. I can see him probably re-signing there, and they got something going there. They could use a little more shooting at this point, in my opinion. The Bulls, they've given away a lot of shooting with White going out. But, they could probably address that in free agency somehow. So I see what they're trying to do. I see where this is headed potentially for the Bulls. They don't have to stay with it, but I think it's okay. You're moving on from a guy that you're likely not going to re-sign in Kobe White. You're getting yourself 3 second-round picks. And you're bringing yourself in Colin Sexton, who's he's good enough to where you just hold on to him, or you can maybe retrade him right now if possible for more second-round picks or something. You could flip him again if you like. Ousmane Dieng, just toss him in there and give him a bigger role than he would have got anywhere else at this point. I love it. I love it for the Bulls. I love it for the Hornets. I think the Hornets, push comes to shove. If push comes to shove, you got a strange situation with Kobe White playing out the rest of the season on a improving Hornets team. They probably make the play-in tournament, and then he probably leaves for nothing. What did you give up? 3 second-round picks, Colin Sexton and Ousmane Dieng. You wish you had your second-round picks back. But if you're keeping Kobe White and you have a future for Kobe White, then you got him at a discount. Sexton ain't worth much to you in that regard. Usman's worth nothing to you in that regard. And 3 second-round picks, that's nothing to give up for a guy like Kobe White. So if the vision is to have Kobe White being your sixth man, he ain't going to stay there. That's what I'll tell you. Charlotte, you ain't going to be able to get him to play that role. He's too young. He's too good to play that role. You know, Con Knippel's not going to come off your bench at this point, although he doesn't have the leverage as a rookie. He's too damn good to be coming off the damn bench. LaMelo obviously not coming off the bench for anybody. So what you have is a situation, and Brandon Miller is far too good. At this point, you can see what type of year he's having. He's far too good for that. You ain't even going to ask him to do that. So I like Kobe White on this situation for the next 6 months. I don't think he stays past 6 months. I think the Charlotte Hornets are going to be a good team that makes a playoff, even probably gets out of the play-in tournament with what they're putting together. But it would be wise for them to make a decision on LaMelo Ball right now to assure that Kobe White has some incentive to stay there and re-sign with them. Otherwise, his trade doesn't make much sense. In theory, I see no way he stays with the Charlotte Hornets if they don't create that roster spot, that point guard position, starting point guard position for him. I see no way. And you definitely not moving Con Knippel, and you definitely not moving Brandon Miller. Absolutely not. Hell no. Zero chance they are off the table. I'm not trading them for nothing at all if I'm the Hornets. That's my future. And so, if you don't mind Kobe White just walking, if you don't mind him just walking, then this is a pretty good opportunity to make your team better in the short term. But I think it's about a 1% chance he resigns with them if LaMelo Ball is still on that roster. So, and if it's a situation where you're trying to trade LaMelo in the offseason, you better be certain you can. Put it like that. Because once that free agency hits, somebody going to give Kobe White his money. And he's going to be starting somewhere. Like Miami, like the Rockets maybe could try to create an opportunity like that. If you don't think you can re-sign Kobe White, Charlotte, you should probably trade him before tomorrow. Like immediately retrade him, dude. Because you could really get something for him. Maybe even a first-round pick for that guy right now. If you send him to the right situation. You know, I like him with those young players, but I'm telling you, I am certain he is not going to want to play behind LaMelo Ball. He is not going to do that for you. Not in Charlotte. He's not going to do it. So this is a very important thing. The Charlotte Hornets have an opportunity to cash in on a valuable player in Kobe White expiring at $12 million. That's extremely valuable. It's more valuable than actually what the Bulls took for it, to be honest with you, in my opinion. So, Charlotte, I don't know how important making the playoffs is for you, because I definitely think you can do that if you keep him on this team, but you re-signing him, I do not see. Not to be no backup point guard. I don't see it. So I think this is extremely important for the Hornets to understand what they've just done, what they now have. Kobe White expiring at $12 million is extremely valuable to a contender, man. Extremely valuable to a contender. And some of them will be willing to give you top dollar for him. Top dollar. At that price, I'm surprised. And with that being said, I'm kind of surprised the Chicago Bulls didn't try to get a better deal than this. If I'm going to make that distinction, then I should obviously say that the Chicago Bulls could have did better. But for their circumstances and what they were trying to do with the logjam of point guards, I don't know that they had the leverage to necessarily demand as much as Hornets would right now. It's a different circumstance. Same piece, different circumstance. So, yeah, something else is going to happen. Charlotte's going to do something. They're going to move LaMelo Ball right now in a shocker that nobody sees coming, or they're going to retrade Kobe White right now in a deal that sends Kobe into another spot very soon, like in 24 hours. If they don't do either, I think they mismanage the situation. I think they're overestimating Kobe White's willingness to play a point backup role, or overestimating the market for LaMelo Ball in the offseason, thinking they're going to be able to just move that contract with ease and not have any problems. I don't know that that's a risk I would be willing to take. Not with how plentiful guards are in this league. LaMelo's overall reputation for not being serious and him having a contract that only a contender would want, I wouldn't be so certain that you're going to get a deal that's even reasonable for LaMelo Ball in the offseason. And that's assuming he stays healthy for the rest of the season and doesn't have some weird injury, which he's also prone to take on. That's not a great contract. So now, you know what I mean? Like, this is a tricky situation. It might be easier for you to move Kobe White right now than it will be for you to move LaMelo Ball in the offseason. And it may be easier for you to move Kobe White right now than to get him to re-sign in the offseason. So that's the. I hope I'm drilling at home, Charlotte fans. Y'all got a real situation to deal with there. Obviously, we'll continue to keep our eye open for what happens next. It's a lot happening. Of course, AD went to the Wizards. James Harden went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. It's a lot of stuff happening. The Lakers haven't done anything. I don't think anybody wants what the Lakers have, to be honest with you. This is the problem with signing stuff that doesn't have any value when you're the Lakers. You're signing these Gabe Vincent, you're signing these dudes that people don't want. You're allowing yourself to hold on to Maxi Kleber, however that works out. People don't want this crap, bro. When it's time to make moves and you see all these different nice names going all over the place, why am I staying on the phone with Rob Pelinka and the Lakers? I ain't got time to stay on the phone with Rob Pelinka and the Lakers when everybody's giving out first-round picks and people are moving all this stuff around. People aren't going to talk to Rob Pelinka because of the stuff that he has in hand. This stuff is trash, bro. I can't stress it enough. That's what's wrong with the Lakers. The stuff they have stinks. BDL 44, I thank you all for watching. Out.